Eric, for the past hour or so, we've been trying to pin down exactly not only how this accident happened, but who was involved. We have been taught the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, but at intersections, that's not the safest way to go. And there are 40-some-odd pages that detail the allegations set forth by federal prosecutors that the former Subway pitchman, Jared Fogle, not only obtained child pornography from his colleague, but he approved it. Happening today, U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson will tour some of the flood-damaged areas in South Carolina. So we begin with breaking news concerning your Indianapolis Colts. Quarterback Andrew Luck is out. Those text messages from the girl were uncovered during that July raid on Fogle's Zionsville home. And David, under this plea agreement, Fogle faces the possibility of prison time. He'll have to register as a sex offender, undergo a treatment program, and he has agreed to pay back $1.4 million in restitution. Again, you can see these are just a gallery of photos that they've posted to the website. House Speaker John Boehner has announced he will be stepping down. They often provide safety drills to prepare for active shooting scenarios like what unfolded in Oregon today.
Heroin continues to take lives in Indiana. In Howard County, there have been 3 suspected heroin deaths in the past week. Authorities acknowledge these overdoses have skyrocketed.
In tonight's Crime Watch 8, ITM's Bennett Haeberle has been looking into this problem and the efforts underway to address it. Bennett.
Oh, Brooke, a judge has assembled an overdose task force. A Facebook group launched this weekend, but nowhere is the problem illustrated more clearly than with the families of those who died. This is a chance meeting of 2 strangers whose families share the same sad story.
I'm sorry for you too, because it ain't easy.
A 30-second embrace between Alan Sparlin, he's on the right, who lost his son Sunday to a suspected heroin overdose, and Eric Whiteman on the left, whose brother Brett died nearly a week ago.
I've been doing this for 3 days. Cry a little bit and I'm okay for a couple minutes.
Me too. The families don't know each other, but they know each other's struggle, and now they know the grief.
Early 30s, he had a family, wife, kids. He was a great uncle, great brother, cared about everybody way more than himself.
I know what you're going through. It was daily. You couldn't get rest because you're worried to death about him. I said, you can't keep doing this stuff.
Chad Sparlin's family says he was found unresponsive at his job Sunday at Haynes International. 2 days before that, Brett Whiteman was found at this Super 8 motel. They are 2 of the 3 suspected heroin overdose deaths in Kokomo in the past week.
Putting your head in the sand is not going to make it better. That's why I want to get this out there. Kokomo has a problem. America has a problem.
Before the fog had lifted in Kokomo, Alan, his wife, and daughter spent the morning looking for burial plots as Eric prepared for his brother's funeral.
I grieved a lot before, and I had to act like he wasn't still here. That was the only way I could sleep at night.
Susie Stroop has co-founded a Facebook group called the Kokomo Help Team. It launched Saturday and already has 1,300 followers, acting as a resource to get addicts help because she says treatment centers in Indiana are too few, the wait times too long.
All that takes time, too much time, and people are dying in the meantime.
Howard County Judge Bill Mingus recently created an opiate overdose task force made up of law enforcement, education, and treatment professionals. They've had 1 meeting. No decisions, just discussions.
Hopefully, we're going to come up with a plan that we can better attack substance abuse.
These families don't have the answers either, just memories of reaching out to loved ones they couldn't help.
I sat every night and talked to them on the porch. We'll never know.
Clearly illustrates the cost there. Judge Mingus says he is planning additional task force meetings. Ideas that have been tossed around, including supplying Narcan, that's an antidote for those who've overdosed, to not only first responders, but the families of addicts. There's also discussion about long-term care, but that remains just a discussion. Bennett Haeberle, 24-hour News 8.
We post, we check in, we do it every day online, and it feels like just about every other day we hear about a new data breach.
Yeah, but what you do online could make you a target for criminals. ITV's Bennett Haeberle has uncovered a problem with posting that's left a lot of people victimized. Bennett.
Lori, so many victims and so many ways to be victimized. It is 21st century pickpocketing. Experts say we are giving hackers all the information they need based on what we do online. Everywhere you look, people are talking, texting, taking photos.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on it all the time, and I feel like I have to have it. If I don't have it, I feel lost.
Yes, and I don't understand how we got by without them. I'm always on my phone, always.
And always leaving a little piece of themselves behind through their online activity.
You carry a phone with you. That phone reports your location. That location information is collected by the phone company.
It is such a common sight, it seems odd when someone is not posting, checking in, or tagging themselves. But there was a time when Carrie Pendleton stopped doing all of those things.
I did. I slept with a knife next to my bed for years. I was terrified to stay at home by myself. I felt like trapped.
Home security video caught thieves breaking into Carrie's Southern Indiana home in 2010, stealing her purse, 2 laptops, a flat-screen TV, and more.
It was about $10,000 in home theater equipment.
More alarming to Carrie, how she thinks the burglars singled her out.
I kind of asked if anybody was doing anything that night.
Before leaving for that night, Carrie posted this message to Facebook, stating she and her now husband were going out to a concert. It is that post that Carrie and authorities believe tipped off the thieves. One of them was Carrie's Facebook friend.
And someone emailed me and said that they did. They thought it was a kid that grew up across the street from me. And that's who it ended up being.
The thing that's striking to me is that pretty much everything we do today leaves a digital record.
IU law professor and cybersecurity expert Fred Kate says it's better to think of our phones as tiny computers capable of not only making phone calls, but storing thousands of pieces of data. The more data out there, the more susceptible we become.
All of these are types of data which are not being stored, but increasingly intermingled. So we can connect these, we can build profiles out of these little bits of what we often call digital exhaust.
Kate, who now heads up research for IU, sits on cybersecurity advisory panels for the NSA, Department of Defense, and Homeland Security. So you have 3 separate security clearances?
I do.
Over the summer, he learned he's not only a cybersecurity expert, he's also a victim. One of 21 million federal government employees whose private information was compromised.
The security of their personnel data is of paramount importance.
The 2 hacking incidents led to congressional hearings and the resignation of the director of the Office of Personnel Management.
And you'd like to think the federal government could secure those data. I mean, that would just seem like a pretty basic thing, like lock the doors at night. They can't, as it turns out, and this isn't the first time it's happened, and it's also not the first agency that's been attacked.
With Target, T-Mobile, and Anthem, Kate says we've become so accustomed to these attacks, we expect them.
I'm positive that we are more susceptible.
So what should we do?
Well, I mean, the price of liberty's eternal vigilance. We should be vigilant is one thing, and it's worth taking the time to say, do I know what this device, this app, this tool is doing?
Fred Kate suggests that we slow down. You wouldn't walk down an alleyway in an unfamiliar city, and by comparison, he says, we shouldn't be so quick to download an app or jump to a website or post something. If we do, things like EXIF data in photos can pinpoint our exact location.
A little bit of sophistication will go a long way.
Carrie has only recently resumed allowing friends to tag her in photos, and she keeps other information private.
I still have people tell me that they don't, post things, because of me, and they thank me for my story. But what I was doing was exhausting to me. I wanted to live my life and not be scared anymore.
Imagine having a dentist tell you he needs to pull half of your teeth, then later learning maybe it wasn't necessary. A handful of Indianapolis patients say that is their reality.
And now they're suing that dentist who's also been accused of cheating the Medicaid system and taking your tax dollars. As ITMate's Bennett Haeberle uncovered, dental overtreatment is now a nationwide problem.
The Mason Family Dental Office in Indianapolis advertises low-cost extractions, natural dentures, and walk-in appointments. But when Keong Farnsley walked in, she walked out with half her teeth.
He proceeded to do the exam and told me that I had an infection in my mouth, that some of the teeth were infected. He would need to pull them.
Keong said Dr. Shadrach Gankwe told her he would need to pull all of her bottom teeth, along with some others.
He said the infection was so bad that if I didn't get them pulled out, I could walk out and have a heart attack and die. And I never heard that before.
Concerned for her health, Keong says she went along with the doctor's recommendation.
If he says it's that severe and I'm gonna die, I'm gonna trust him. I have 2 small boys at home. I can't leave them. You know, I'm a single mom at the time. I can't leave them.
Afterwards, Keong says she was given only pain medication, no antibiotics for that supposedly life-threatening infection. Weeks went by, and Keong says she never got her dentures, so she found a new dentist, who she says told her the painful procedure was unnecessary.
So when he said that, I was just completely shocked and devastated. I mean, my heart was broken all over again.
That was 2012. 3 years later, she is still tangled up in a legal battle with Dr. Gankwe. And she's not alone. At least 4 other patients have active malpractice lawsuits against Gankwe, claiming in court records he made them believe that they were in imminent danger and needed to immediately have all their teeth pulled or risk death by suffering a heart attack. We reached Dr. Gankwe by phone at his Raymond Street office, where he is still practicing. While he wouldn't answer questions, he did say this.
The story is nothing new, and I will...
The story's nothing new?
I will refer you to my attorney for any further comments, okay? I think you're looking for something where there is none.
His attorney provided us with a statement that reads in part, Amazing Family Dental and its dentist is vigorously defending each of these claims and that the treatment of each patient is medically appropriate.
It's not just a cosmetic harm, it's emotional harm.
Kelly Johnson is Keong's attorney. She says 3 years after this incident, the case has yet to see the inside of a courtroom. Why? Because under Indiana law, Johnson says the case must first be heard before the Department of Insurance, where a panel of dentists will determine if Gankwe met the standard of care.
We're not close yet. Yeah, I expect another year in the medical review panel process before we can actually still bring the case in state court. It's a long road.
Currently, the Indiana Attorney General's office has 44 active licensing complaints against Indiana dentists. Nearly a third of those involve patients claiming they were subjected to overtreatment or unnecessary work. And it's not just here, it's a nationwide problem. From Arizona to Texas, Louisiana, and New York, all have reported similar cases, many involving children. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services issued a report last fall on pediatric dentistry. It found dozens of dentists across the country with questionable billing practices who may be billing for services that are not medically necessary or were never provided. 95 Indiana dentists are referenced in that federal report. Dr. Gankwe is among them. In March, Indiana's Attorney General filed a licensing complaint against Gankwe, claiming he fraudulently received more than $27,000 in Medicaid reimbursements. Doug Bush is with the Indiana Dental Association. He couldn't speak to Dr. Gankwe's case, but says cases like those should be considered outliers.
Those bad actors hurt the entire profession, and it also scares patients. I mean, if that's the image that you have of what it's like to go to a dentist, you're more likely to avoid going to the dentist.
The IDA offers a peer review program in an effort to settle disputes between patients and dentists. Bush says if patients have questions about their care, they can always seek a second opinion.
Most dentists are not going to be offended at all.
Keong says the emotional trauma still lingers, and she's unsure when or if her legal dispute will be settled.
It's really scary. Regardless, he shouldn't be a dentist anymore.
Another lawyer for Dr. Gankwe told us expert witnesses say he did nothing wrong. The Department of Insurance says it often takes years to resolve these cases because attorneys wrangle over evidence, bogging down the process. And when it comes to dentists overbilling Medicaid, that federal report found 95 dentists in Indiana were given at least $30 million in reimbursements just in 2012. And that's Hoosier tax money. The state says it has new systems in place to catch this. Bennett Haeberle, 24 Hour News 8.